Hello, this is Sharon from SAS Statistical Programming.com. Starting this tutorial, we're going to start a new chapter on creating and using macro programs. Like macro variables, macro programs, also known as macros, enables you to substitute text into your SAS programs. Macros are different from macro variables because they can use conditional logic to make decisions about the text that you substitute in your programs. So let's go over some basic concept. First, let's look at how to define a macro by including % macro statement and the %mend statement. This is the general form to define a macro. We'll start with % macro statement. Following this % macro keyword is the macro name that you're going to give to your macro. And then this macro will end with this %mend statement. So after this %mend keyword, you can write your macro name here. It's optional. And then in between the two statements is the text, so you can insert your program in this part. And then in order to use this macro later in your SAS programs, you must first compile it by submitting the macro definition. The compile node equal option causes a node to be issued to the SAS log when the macro has completed compilation. This option has 3 values. None is default, and the no autocall specifies a node for all macros except autocall macros. And all specifies a node for all macros. So in later example, I'm going to use option compile node equals all. And then you can call a macro program and use it in your SAS programs for the duration of your SAS session without resubmitting the macro definition. A macro call is specified by placing a % sign before the name of the macro. It requires no semicolon. A semicolon after a macro call might lead to errors. Alright, let's look at the examples. First, I use this proc import procedure to bring in an Excel data file. It's this one, score data ID. And then the output SAS data set, I call it score underscore data. Okay, let's run this to have the data ready. This is our score underscore data. It has student name, 3 score variables, student gender, and the student ID information. It total has 11 rows and 6 columns. Now let's look at the example. First, I use this compile node option here. Options compile node equals all. So when the SAS finish the compilation of this macro, there will be a note written in the log window. And then let's look at the macro we defined here. So after % macro keyword, I include macro name, which is print for this new macro. And then this macro will be end with this %mend statement. And then in between is the SAS program I want to insert for this macro, which is a simple proc print procedure program. Okay, so this part create a new macro called print. Okay, if we want to execute this macro, then we need to call this macro by using this % and then following by its name, which is print. Okay, let's run this part of the program. Let's run this part first and see what we got. This is the log window. So let's look at the note. The macro print completed compilation without errors. All right. Let's run this macro call and see what is the result. This is the result of execution that macro print. So that is a simple proc print procedure. From that program, we have this output from the print procedure. All right. This is it for this tutorial. This tutorial, we use an example to demonstrate some basic concept about macro programs. All right, thank you for watching. See you next time.